Summerween is upon us, which also means spooky book season is upon us. I am going to be reading for 24 hours straight, but this time with a theme. I am going to be reading these spooky books in the spirit of Summerween, just to kind of spice things up a little bit. Let's briefly talk about the books that I have for today, and then we were gonna start the timer because it is actually already 9:16 p.m. and I want to get started ASAP, but I had to work, so I had to wait until that was done. Anyway, book number 1, we have Summer Suns by Leigh Mondello. I actually got this, I believe, last year or the year before. I don't quite remember. It's a queer Southern Gothic, and I think it has some occult-ish elements. I mean, you can see on the cover, this bony hand reaching for this living hand, and I think that tells you a lot about the story already. So I've actually already started it. I'm still at the beginning-ish, but I'm already really liking it. I'm really liking the writing. I like the vibe. It's honestly very different from things I normally would read, and I think it's the perfect book to start us out because it's gonna keep me gripped the entire time. Another option I have is Delicious Monsters by Liselle Sambury. I love this author. This is the first book of hers that I've ever read. So this is a reread for me, but it has been a few years since I've read it, and I remember really loving it. It got me into her other work, and I would love to just revisit this story. It's very spooky. I think it's like a YA horror. Daisy, the main character, sees dead people, and that is absolutely not normal for people in the day-to-day world. So it's kind of her trying to navigate high school and moving and seeing dead people. So next, we have Mr. Mercedes by Stephen King himself, yes. I recently read a Stephen King book, Lisey's Story. That was really good. And I'm kind of on maybe a little bit of a Stephen King kick. So I wanted to pick up another one, Mr. Mercedes. This one is a series, if I'm not mistaken, and I actually don't really know anything about it. I think it's more of like a crime thriller, but it has some dark elements to it. I mean, there's an umbrella getting rained on by blood, so I'm sure there's some fun to be had in here. Next is a book of the month that I got this last month in June. It is The Children by Melissa Albert, the haunting new novel from best-selling author Melissa Albert, in which the estranged adult children of a legendary author written into their dead mother's beloved fantasy series must contend with the vine-like creep of legacy, memory, and magic. So it seems like it's got some haunted, spooky elements, maybe some magic. I don't know. It's just giving creepy, spooky, and I really want to read this, so I'm all for it. So I am all for it. Last but not least, we have The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. I also don't know anything about this book, and I'm going to keep it that way because I don't want to know what I'm getting into. But I believe this is a fantasy, but I think this totally could not be spooky vibes, and that's fine. But the cover is giving like so gothic, so horror, scary, but it says it's a fantasy, so I don't know. We'll see. I might research a little tiny bit. By the way, I feel like I'm gonna read it regardless. I don't know if I'll get to all of these books. I honestly don't know how accurate, like I don't know my reading pace for a 24-hour challenge because I've never successfully actually read for the 24 hours, so I have no idea how many books I'm gonna even need to read. I have these 5 books. I also have my Kindle, so I can pick up any other book as needed. But like I said, it is almost 9:30. I would love to get started. So let's quickly go over my rules for this challenge. First and foremost, I'm not gonna be stopping the timer at all. That being said, I also have things to do tomorrow, so I'm gonna have to find a way to manage both, and it'll be an adventure. Next, I'm gonna be allowing myself to multitask because I get really burnt out if I'm sitting in a spot reading for too long. I will often supplement that with an audiobook and maybe a hobby like a cozy video game, or even just like doing chores, laundry, or going for a walk outside. I'm gonna let that also count towards reading because I need it for my sanity. I am also not going to sleep That being said, I've never successfully done this before without falling asleep. So we'll see how it goes. But I'm gonna try my hardest to successfully read for the next 24 hours. Let's get my timer. Let's start reading.
If only you could see me now. If only you could tell me why you disappeared, you made me cry. So don't come back. Oh, you never took the time to say. You didn't think you should explain.
I just stood in line for over an hour and waited like 30 plus minutes for some burgers. They opened an In-N-Out semi close to me, but I've been listening to my audiobook. I'm gonna head back. I'm ready to get home.
Like I don't care, you're kidding me. Don't do that. Oh, I don't tell anybody, no. That I'm feeling so miserable. All my friends tell me to be strong. If they're right, why does it feel so wrong?
Okay, it's been a few hours. It's actually been exactly 3 hours since I started. Still reading Summer Sons. I'm on page 176. Things are getting very interesting. There are some, I don't know, like supernatural elements, and Andrew is just trying to investigate death of his best friend, which is ruled to be a suicide, but he is so firmly believing that that's not the case, that he's here at his school meeting his friends, trying to figure out what really happened. But it's really good. I think I'm gonna finish this very quickly. This was a very good first choice book. Oh my gosh. I'm already getting so tired. It's actually just after midnight now. I had a little side quest after I got home and started reading. After starting this video, I was getting pretty hungry and remembered that an In-N-Out opened kind of nearby me. So I turned on my audiobook, drove over to In-N-Out, waited in an hour and a half line, and for my food, drove back. Ate my food, and that literally took so much energy out of me. I don't know why I thought I wanted to go into such an overstimulating environment at the end of my work day, but literally as I was standing in line, I was like, this is the worst thing I've ever done. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do my video. I was in such a horrible mood, but now I'm so happy to be back. But I'm gonna stop yapping because, like I said, I'm not pausing the timer. I think I might take a shower, wash my hair, do my whole routine. I'll probably update you when I finish the book, I imagine, before I start the next one, which I still have no idea what book I'm gonna want to read next. I mean, I kind of have an idea. I'm actually getting so tired right now. We are gonna make it to the end of the 24 hours, okay? Trust. These books are so spooky, they're gonna keep me up for a whole day. I'm gonna take a shower and continue reading.
Just because you hurt doesn't mean my heart don't want you. Footprints in the dirt, following your every move. I tried to be the best for you. When you broke my heart,
lot of hours. It is 3:40 a.m. I just finished book number 1, Summer Suns. I did switch to vlogging on my phone. If you notice a change in quality, I had to charge up the camera battery. And also, this is a lot easier to move around than that bulky tripod over there. This book, I don't even know. I feel like there were some plot holes, especially towards the end, where I was like, I don't think that logistically makes sense. Like, I get this is kind of a magical, haunting possession. I don't even know. Guys, I'm so tired. I feel like some stuff happened at the end, like at the like main climax, and like how smoothly it all went at the end. I was like, how does, like, I don't think that would have worked like that, but okay. There were some gross, nasty scenes in there. Honestly, I just did not expect. I feel like this is probably YA, but I don't know. Because it definitely had a spicy scene in there. See, going into this, I did not expect any spice, but there is some spice. I don't really have much else to say on this. Oh, what am I gonna rate it? Here's the thing, like, I really liked the writing style. It didn't, like, it felt very atmospheric, but it didn't feel like the author was like fluffing it up for the sake of like filling up the page, you know? Like, sometimes the descriptions, they just get to a point where it's like, are we just writing this just to have more words? But no, this was very, I feel like, very well done in the way things were described, in like emotions, all of that. But I don't know, some of the characters didn't feel fully played out. So 3 stars. Unrelated, I find it crazy that it's 3:40. It's still completely dark outside and there are birds chirping. Why are we up so early? I'm looking at my stack of books, trying to think about what I want to get to next. I feel like all of these books are gonna have very similar-ish elements, so I feel like I can't really go wrong with any of them. Thing is, I don't have the middle 2 on audio. I only have The Familiar and Mr. Mercedes. So if I were to start one of like The Children or Delicious Monsters, I'm doing that with just my eyeballs, and I don't know if I can handle that right now, because in a couple hours when the sun comes up, I want to go for a walk around the park just to like get fresh air and some sun. I still have 17 hours, but it's, you know, we're moving on. We're gonna keep on keeping on. So I think final decision, next book. It's too early to be making this much noise. Nate is asleep in the other room. I'm gonna read Mr. Mercedes. Hopefully this can keep me occupied and awake. Okay, let's go.
Doesn't mean my heart don't want you. Footprints in the dirt, following your every move. Just because you hurt doesn't mean my heart don't want
Guys, I'm not gonna lie, I did fall asleep for about 3 hours. It is 9:40 in the morning now. I just woke up a little bit ago to my book on the floor. I did fall asleep reading. I did not necessarily intentionally fall asleep. Oh my gosh, I don't even know where I'm at in the book. I know I had to turn off the audiobook because my headphones died, and since it was so early, I couldn't play it like on a speaker out loud. I didn't want to wake anyone up, especially not Nate. So I was just reading, and I think my eyes got really tired. And then I dropped the book and I fell asleep. So I am 12 hours in now. We made it halfway. Unfortunately, I did fall asleep, but at least it wasn't for 8 hours. According to my audiobook, I am 20% of the way 27% of the way through Mr. Mercedes, which I don't think I've talked about it yet, but we are following a couple of people. We're following Hodges, who is a retired detective, Mr. Mercedes, or the Mercedes killer. His real name is Brady, but no one knows who he is yet, of course. At the beginning of the book, an incident, like a mass murder occurs. Hodges was never able to determine or figure out who the guy was, and now Brady, Mr. Mercedes, is sending Hodges letters and taunting him and trying to revive the drama and potentially kill again. Very interesting. I will say I am so not a fan of the way the characters talk about people of color in this book. I know it's intentional. Like, I was kind of researching a little bit, and it's been said that King uses the words that he does, the slurs, to show how bad, systemic racism is and how entwined it is with society. Sure, I can get that, but it just feels like a little too real. And also the way he talks about certain female characters in the book, at least from Brady's perspective. I know he's supposed to be a horrible guy. You're not supposed to like him. He's saying some vulgar, awful things about people. But I'm just like, how could you even write that down? Other than that, this is a very compelling story, and I am very much enjoying it so far. I could see myself continuing the series on. But yeah, things are just starting to ramp up here. But we also have a lunch. Nate and I have a Father's Day lunch to go to today, and I genuinely don't know how I'm gonna navigate that with this challenge. Update time. I have, I think, just under 7.5 hours left to read, and I'm definitely past the halfway mark of the book. We went out to lunch with Nate's family, and we were there for an hour and a half, and I read very, very little. I mean, I had my book open, but I was obviously distracted, so I was still actively reading and trying to read, but I did not get very far. But now I am on page 270. All I have to say is this book is very sick and twisted. The relationship between the killer, Brady, and his mom is so upsetting and disgusting. I can't even, no, I don't even want to think about it. I have no idea where it's gonna go. It's just a big cat and mouse game between the detective and the killer, but we'll see. Anyway, for now, I am really, really craving movie theater popcorn for some reason, so I think I'm gonna go to the theater because it's only a couple minutes away, and I think I'm just gonna go buy popcorn and bring it back. I have finished Mr. Mercedes with 4 hours and 50 minutes left on the timer. Wow. This book was a whole lot. Like, there's so much happening in this book. Like, I don't even know where to start. I mean, I kind of briefly discussed what it was about. And at the end, we do get a little bit of a cliffhanger. Not enough where it's like you're upset that the book ended and you need the next one immediately. But in a way, it's like it could be a conclusion in itself, but it could also be a continuance of the story if he wanted to do that, which he did. So I will have to be getting to the next one sometime soon. But yeah, that was crazy. A lot of very real characters with very real struggles. A lot of characters that I think were maybe exaggerated to tell the story, maybe a little less believable, but I feel like Stephen King's characters are they can be a lot sometimes, so I'm not really surprised there. There was never really a moment where I was bored. Basically, it felt like something was happening, one thing after another, the whole time. And it was really good. I think overall I want to give it 4.25 stars. I would maybe give it a 4.5, but I mentioned earlier some of the language he uses around some of the characters just bothered me. I feel like that's the point though, like you're supposed to hate the guy, or at least one of them, but overall it was still a good story, so I don't want to discredit that. 4.25 stars. 2 books down, 1 to go, I guess. I genuinely thought I would be reading 5 books. Yes, I did. I genuinely thought I would be reading 5 books in 24 hours. I don't think that's happening. I think I want to finish us off with The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo, because I do have this on audio as well. And as much as I do want to get to the other ones, I think I need to stick with books that have an audio because I can multitask. Like I said, I'm very tired, a lot sleepy. Like I feel like my brain is taking extra focus power right now. But I want to take a break from sitting on the couch and reading, so I'm gonna get my audiobook going for The Familiar. I'm gonna start it. That's all for now. We'll catch up in probably an hour or so. You guys, I literally just finished the book and my timer's about to go off. I cannot believe I made it to this moment. Oh. 24 hours of reading is complete. We're gonna talk about the books tomorrow. I'm going to sleep. I'll catch you guys in the morning. I finally finished reading for 24 hours last night at 9:30 p.m. We did it, guys. I made it to the end, minus the 3-ish hours that I did end up falling asleep, but we're just gonna pretend that didn't happen. In the end, I managed to finish 3 books, Actually, last night when I was finishing The Familiar, I finished it and then I was gonna go grab another book, but then my timer went off 30 seconds later. So it was really perfect timing. I did not intentionally do that, but it happened. To briefly go over the books that I read, first I read Summer Sons, which was like a southern gothic. I don't know if it's technically a horror. I don't really know what genre. It's like a haunting. So I guess horror. This guy is haunted by his dead best friend. I liked this one. I think I gave it 4 stars. Oh, I gave it 3 stars. I remember why. I mentioned this earlier. There were a couple plot holes. Just things that didn't necessarily add up for me, where I was like, it should not have worked out as easily as it did. Like, some of the details just went completely ignored, and that kind of bothered me, so it took it down a star. But other than that, I really liked the writing. I liked kind of the spooky vibe. I thought like the vibes for all of these books were so perfect, so I'm really happy with how this turned out. After Summer Sons, I read Mr. Mercedes by Stephen King. I would say this is definitely the most memorable for me. This was a thick book. I think it's like a crime thriller kind of detective. You're following Bill Hodges. He's this detective, well, a retired detective, and he gets a letter from the infamous Mercedes killer, or Mr. Mercedes, who committed a mass unaliving, a mass murder, was never caught. And so Hodges is like, he lets it go, he retires, but then he receives a letter. He basically starts taunting him, and he starts his own private investigation, but he technically has no jurisdiction, no actual way of investigating any of this. So it gets kind of interesting. In the end, everything kind of blows up. It's a very exciting ending, and it does kind of end on a cliffhanger, so I do want to lead. I do want to find myself reading the next one, hopefully soon-ish. Then after that, I read The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. Our main character, Lucia, she kind of gets taken to compete to be like the king's champion, and she's basically has this magic that he's like trying to force out of her that she like doesn't really necessarily understand how to control. Here's the thing about this one. I remember I liked it. Ooh, there was a romance, and I think there was a betrayal. So here's why I say I think. I was so tired at the point where I was finishing this book that I do not remember a lot of the details. That's the danger with a challenge like this. You get to the point where you're so tired, you're a little delirious, and words just kind of stop making sense. And I feel like that always happens to like the third book that I read, or like the last book that I end up reading in a challenge. So unfortunately, I don't remember a lot of the details, but I know I did like it, and I ended up giving it 3.75 stars. It was definitely more fantasy than horror, which I did not intentionally do. However, it definitely had the spooky elements that I was looking for. I didn't necessarily need to read like horror books. I was just looking for some spooky books, I guess. And I think it hit the mark. So after 24 hours, I read 3 books. I don't know how many pages that is. Maybe I'll put it up how many pages that is. I am very proud of how many books I managed to read. That's everything. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for being here. Thanks for making it to the end. If you liked this video, make sure to give it a like and make sure to subscribe so you never miss another video. That's all from me for now, and I will see you hopefully very soon. Bye.